This is for Algebra 2, and we are solving polynomials. So what's going to be different here is that instead of starting as an x squared, it's starting as x to the fourth. And that makes things look a little different and work a little different, okay? What you want to do to start with is, I like to use the letter A and let it represent whatever your middle variable was. So A is equal to x squared for this problem. So then you're going to rewrite your problem and use A instead of x squared. So your middle term here becomes minus 40a. Instead of x to the fourth, that's actually going to be a squared, because if you took x squared and you squared it, you would get x to the fourth. So you're going to take this problem and rewrite it, and it would become a squared minus 40a plus 144 equals 0. And then you would take that and you would solve it just like what we always have. So factors of 144, signs are the same and they're both negative, and they have to equal 40. Okay? So this is going to be a minus something and a minus something else. So 144, 1 and 144, 2 and 72, 3 does not go, 3 would go into it, but it's going to be too small. 3 will go into it, 48, 4 would go into it, 36, that's what you're going to use. So this becomes a minus 4 and a minus 36, okay? So now you're going to take each of those factors and you're going to set them equal to 0. So this is like a minus 4 equals 0, okay? So then you would move your 4, and so a is equal to 4. But remember we said at the beginning that a is really x squared, so x squared is equal to 4. And then you have to unsquare it, and x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 4, which is 2. Over here you have a minus 36 is equal to 0. Move your 36, a is equal to 36. Replace your a with x squared is equal to 36. And so x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 36, which is 6. So plus or minus 2 and plus or minus 6 are your solutions. Okay, so you really have 4 answers, because quadratic has 2, but a polynomial is going to have more than 2. Okay, they did it a different way up here. Might not be the way that you want to do it. I recommend the way I just did this one. So the key is you're going to substitute a for x squared, factor it, and then go back to x squared and then break that down. So let's look at the first one on our notes. We're going to rewrite it, and it's going to be a squared minus 2a minus 8. Okay, I just replaced the x squareds with a. So then we're going to find the factors of 8. 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Signs are different, and the largest is negative. It's got to equal negative 2. So this becomes a plus 2 and a minus 4. So a plus 2 equals 0. Move your 2. A is equal to negative 2. Replace it, the a, with x squared is equal to negative 2. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 2. Now remember, when you take the square root of a negative number, you can't leave that negative in there. You've got to pull it out as an I. So it's actually plus or minus I square root of 2. Then you do the other one the same way. A minus 4 equals 0. Move your 4. A is equal to 4. Replace your a with x squared. So x squared is equal to 4. And x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 4, which is 2. So your answer is plus or minus I square root of 2 and plus or minus 2. So rewrite, and so this becomes a squared plus 7a plus 6. Find the factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Sounds they're the same and they're all positive, and they've got to equal 7. So this is actually a plus 1 and a plus 6. So this means that x squared plus 1 is equal to 0, and x squared plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, I skipped a step if you didn't notice. Instead of writing a plus 2 and then changing, I went ahead and just did my change as I rewrote. I don't care which way you do it. So move your 1, and x squared is equal to negative 1. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 1, which is I. Move your 6, x squared is equal to negative 6. X is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 6, which means I square root of 6. You can box it all together, or you can make 2 boxes. It does not matter to me. So going to your next one, it's different here is that 12 is on the wrong side. So while I replace the x squared with the a's, I'm going to move my 12. This becomes a squared minus a minus 12 equals 0. Factors of 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Signs are different. The largest one is negative, and they have to equal 1. Negative 1, actually. So this becomes a plus 3 and a minus 4. So x squared plus 3 equals 0, which means that x squared is equal to negative 3, which means that x is equal to plus or minus I squared 3. X squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Therefore, x squared is equal to 4, and x is equal to plus or minus 2, because the square root of 4 is just 2. And that is your answer. So this one is going to become a squared plus 11a plus 18 equals 0. Factors of 18, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Signs are the same. They're all positive, and it's got to equal 11, so it's 2 and 9. So this is a plus 2 and a plus 9. So x squared plus 2 equals 0. X squared equals negative 2. And so x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 2, which is I squared root of 2. For this one, you're going to say x squared plus 9 equals 0. X squared is equal to negative 9. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 9, which is going to be 3i. And that is your solution. Going to the back. We are going to have to replace with the a and move the 54. So a squared minus 3a minus 54 equals 0. Find the factors of 54, 1 and 54, 2 and 27, 3 and 18, 6 and 9. Signs are different. The largest is negative. They've got to equal negative 3, so it's 6 and negative 9. So this is a plus 6 and a minus 9. So it becomes x squared plus 6 equals 0, which means that x squared is equal to negative 6, and x is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 6, which becomes I squared root of 6. X squared minus 9 equals 0. Move your 9. X squared is equal to 9. X is equal to plus or minus the square root of 9, which is simply 3. Moving to the next one, it's going to become a squared minus 6a plus 8 equals 0, which is going to be a minus and a minus because they're the same sign and they're both negative. Factors of 8 that give you 6 is going to be 2 and 4. So x squared minus 2 is equal to 0, x squared is equal to 2, and x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 2. X squared minus 4 equals 0, x squared is equal to 4, and x is equal to plus or minus 2. A squared minus 7a minus 30. It's going to be a minus and a plus because signs are different. Largest is negative. Factors of 30 that when you subtract will give you 7 are going to be 10 and 3. And we said the largest one was negative. So x squared minus 10 is equal to 0. X squared is equal to 10. And x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 10. X squared plus 3 is equal to 0. X squared is equal to negative 3. And x is equal to plus or minus I square root of 3. So we're going to have a squared plus 35a minus 36. Signs are different and the largest is positive. And when you subtract it, you've got to get 35, so it's going to be 36 and 1. So x squared minus 36 equals 0. Move your 36. X squared is equal to 36. X is equal to plus or minus the square root of 36, which is 6. X squared minus 1 is equal to 0. X squared is equal to 1. X is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1, which is 1.